If you think men are only attracted to what they see, you're missing a big part of what really pulls them in. The truth is, the most powerful turn-ons for a man aren't just physical. They're emotional, mental, deeply psychological. It's not the dress, the lipstick, or your body shape, though yes, those things might catch his attention for a moment. But what really sticks in his mind, what keeps him up late at night staring at the ceiling, is something quieter, deeper, harder to explain. It's the things you do that seem small from the outside, but hit his nervous system like emotional electricity. Once you truly get how these hidden triggers work, you'll stop stressing over how to impress him, because you won't just get his attention, you'll live in his thoughts. You'll become that feeling he can't shake, the memory he keeps replaying. These mental switches, once activated, don't just make him want you. They make him crave the way he feels when he's near you, the way your energy shifts the space, the way your silence is louder than someone else's entire speech. These aren't tricks, they're real. Real things about how male desire works. Once you know how to reach that place in him, it's not about playing games. It's about hitting the right emotional notes, creating a feeling that echoes long after you've gone. Let's start with one of the most basic but powerful things in your toolkit, the mysterious look. It's more than just a glance, it's a silent message. When your eyes meet his from across the room and instead of quickly looking away or flashing a nice smile, you let that look stay just a second longer than expected, it does something to him. And then you look away. Maybe with a small smirk or maybe with no expression at all. That's not just eye contact. That's mental tension. That's emotional suspense. That's attraction on a deeper level. Men are built to go after what feels just a little bit hard to get. When you give them that look, the one that says, "I see you," followed by the feeling of, "But if you want more, show me you deserve it," his brain lights up. It plants a question in his head. Was that interest? Was that something real? Or was it just politeness? That kind of uncertainty hooks him because the brain hates open loops. When it comes to attraction, that emotional tension, that feeling of "I want more, but I don't know where I stand," becomes incredibly attractive. Here's the part people don't usually admit. Certainty feels safe, but it's rarely exciting. Predictability feels good, but it doesn't stir deep desire. Unpredictability, that's what pulls a man back. That's what keeps him thinking. That's what makes him try harder, think deeper, wonder longer. Now let's talk about playful teasing. A lot of people think men only want compliments, kindness, and sweet talk. And sure, being kind matters, but too much sweetness? It fades into the background. What grabs a man's full attention is a little light-hearted challenge, some fun teasing. It's not about being mean. It's about showing you're not trying to win him over. You're just enjoying the moment. And you're not afraid to mess with him a little. When you say something like, "That's the worst excuse I've heard. Try again," or "Wow, that shirt really makes you feel taller, doesn't it?" You're not being rude. You're playing. And you're also showing him he doesn't just get a free pass for showing up. That kind of energy, it wakes him up. It takes him out of autopilot. It tells his brain, engage. That kind of fun back and forth creates a rhythm, a spark, a push and pull that feels exciting. Underneath it, there's a strong message. I like who I am. I'm enjoying myself. I'm not desperate to be picked. I already know I'm valuable. That kind of natural confidence stands out. In a world full of people trying to be chosen, trying to impress, it shines like fire in the dark. This is how you stop being just another attractive face and start being the woman he can't forget. You stop being just a visual moment and start being an emotional memory. And it's emotional memory that sticks. A man might admire beauty, But what he really remembers is how a woman made him feel. He remembers the sudden laugh, the quick wit, the light pushback. He remembers how you didn't try too hard to prove yourself, yet he suddenly felt like he needed to prove something to you. That's what shifts everything. That's what makes desire grow deeper. When you mix that mystery with playfulness, when you look at him like he's an interesting puzzle and tease him like you've already figured him out, it's game over. You're not just catching his attention, you're occupying his thoughts. He thinks of you in the shower, in meetings, in the middle of the night. You're not just attractive, you're unforgettable. And not because of what you wore or how flawless your makeup was, but because you gave him a feeling he didn't expect. Something he felt in his chest, not just his body. That's what true attraction really is. And once you learn how to create that feeling, you'll understand something big. Men aren't starving for more looks. They're starving for more emotion. And you already have what it takes to be that unforgettable feeling. He starts to look at every other woman differently, not in a rude way, but in that silent way men do when they felt something rare, something that changed them. And it can happen with just a few shifts in how you speak. 3 small changes in your voice can do what 100 perfect photos can't. See, words alone are just facts, but your tone, that's music to his deeper mind. That's what makes his body react before he even knows why. If you've ever leaned in a little while talking, dropped your voice just slightly, slowed down as you made your point, you've already used this kind of turn on, even if you didn't know it. The brain is wired to respond to those changes. A lower tone makes things feel close. A slower pace makes things feel meaningful. Think about it. When someone speaks softly, what do? You lean in, you pause, you focus. You stop checking your phone, you stop planning what to say next. You're there, in that moment. In a loud, chaotic world, that calm shift in tone feels like an emotional touch. It slips past his ears and lands right in his nervous system. It says, this moment matters. And just like that, without even touching him, you've drawn him closer. You slowed his world down. You've created connection. And that's not just getting attention, that's chemistry. That's desire sparked by nothing more than the way you speak with intention. Then comes something even more powerful. The feeling of being chosen. Not just seen, not just liked, but picked. Out of everyone. Most people miss this, but it's something men deeply want. They don't just want to be noticed. They want to feel like they were the one. Not a backup, not a second choice, not just someone who was there. They want to feel like they earned your focus, like you could have picked anyone, and you picked them. That feeling, it sticks with a man. You don't have to be cold or distant. It's about knowing your value. When a man senses that you're a woman who has options, who has standards, and still you show up for him, that hits him hard. That doesn't just get him excited, that grounds him emotionally. It makes him want to be better, not from fear, but from pride, because now he sees your choice as a gift. And it can happen in just one moment, one sentence, something as simple as, I don't usually open up this fast, but for some reason, I feel safe with you. That's not just a sentence. That's bonding. That's his guard dropping without him even noticing. That's when desire becomes connection. Then you surprise him with something real. You add depth. See, most people stay in small talk. What's your favorite color? What shows do you like? What's your star sign? But real closeness isn't built on those questions. It's built in moments that shake things up in a good way. So instead of following the script, you say something honest, a memory, a bold opinion, a truth most people are too scared to say. It doesn't need to be heavy, just real. That moment, it makes him pause. Psychologists call it a pattern interrupt. It stops the usual flow, and suddenly, you're not who he thought. You're more. You adjust. Having a normal chat, then boom, he's awake. He's alert. He wants to know more, because now you're not just attractive, you're interesting. And that's the secret engine behind real desire. It's curiosity. It's what keeps him thinking of you in quiet moments, wondering what's behind the surface. See, men don't fall deeply just because of looks. Looks pull them in, but these surprising, emotional, genuine moments, those are what leave a lasting impression. The softness in your voice, the certainty in your limits, the insight in your words. When he feels that, he doesn't just want your body. He wants to know you. That's what changes everything. That's what turns a quick spark into something unforgettable. You become the story he remembers, the feeling he chases, the moment that reminded him what real connection feels like. In a world that often feels shallow, you become the one thing he didn't expect, something real. Like an invitation, her honesty feels like art. He stops looking at other women the same way. They might still seem attractive, still interesting, but they don't move him like you do. Because you didn't just catch his attention, you slipped beneath his surface. You made his world slow down for a moment, and that moment stays. It echoes. It becomes a quiet space in his mind that no one else fully occupies. When a man feels like he's constantly discovering new parts of who you are, something in him changes. You don't just stay in his thoughts, you begin to live there. You're not someone he met once and forgot. You become this unfolding story that keeps pulling him in. Every chat, every look, every unexpected reaction from you makes him want to know more. He starts wondering, who is she really? And that curiosity mixed with emotional spark builds something unforgettable. Now think about the way you respond when he lets his guard down. Men are trained from early on to keep things in. Be tough. Don't cry. Don't talk too much. Don't show fear. So when a man finally opens up about his anxiety, stress, or doubts, whether he realizes it or not, he's giving you something sacred. It's not just a conversation. It's trust in action. And how you meet that moment can either build an emotional bridge or quietly burn it. If you respond with judgment, awkwardness, or try to quickly give him advice like you're solving a problem, it quietly tells him it's not safe to be open. But when you sit with quiet presence, with soft understanding in your eyes, and allow the space to breathe without trying to fix anything, you're giving him something almost no one else gives: emotional safety. Emotional safety to a man who's constantly told to man up is more powerful than any charm. You become more than just someone he's dating. You become a place where he can land, rest, and be fully human. He may not say it in words, but inside, he's thinking, I don't have to pretend with her. And that feeling that he can just be is more intimate than anything physical. It says to him, this is real, and real is what touches a man deeply, even if he never talks about it. Then there's that one thing only you do, the signature quirk or small habit he connects to you. Maybe it's the way you run your fingers through your hair while thinking, or that unique laugh you let out when something really gets you, or maybe it's how you whisper thank you with that soft little smile and light touch on his arm. These are more than just habits, they're personal markers. Memories carved into his mind. Men connect pleasure to patterns. When he starts linking his happiest moments to things only you do, you begin to take up space in his emotional world. He starts noticing how no one else laughs quite like you, how no one else says that phrase in just the same tone. And when he sees someone else doing something similar and still feels the absence of you, that's when you know you've left a mark he can't erase. You don't need to perform. You don't need to try too hard. Just let your natural self flow into those moments. When your own rhythm becomes something familiar and comforting to him, you become part of his emotional world. That kind of connection isn't made by being loud. It's created by being truly yourself. And then there's the moment you give him a compliment. Not one of those usual lines, but something honest. Something you really noticed. You catch a moment others would miss and speak to it. Like saying, I saw how calm you stayed when that guy was being rude. That kind of patience is rare. Or, you're really great at making people feel like they matter. It's something I admire. That kind of praise doesn't just boost his ego. It touches something deeper, because it tells him you see him, not just his looks or achievements, but the parts of him he quietly takes pride in. And science supports this. When someone feels seen for traits they value in themselves, their brain lights up with oxytocin and dopamine, the chemicals of trust, connection, and emotional joy. In just one sentence, you've done what many never do. You've made him feel both safe and wanted. You created emotional warmth, and that's not something easily forgotten. Now let's talk about one of the strongest things that draws people in, emotional control, but not in a cold, detached way. It's about having the kind of inner balance that makes others pay attention, even if they don't know why. It's the energy of a woman who feels everything, but doesn't let chaos lead her. She feels deeply, but chooses how to respond. She's soft, but steady. When you carry that kind of energy, warm, feminine, yet calmly centered, it stirs something inside a man. It makes him notice you, not because you're the loudest, but because you're the calmest voice in the noise. And that calm, it makes him feel like you're the safe place. It makes him want to protect you, yes, but also be protected by your peace. That rare mix of tenderness and strength is magnetic. He might not know how to explain it. All he knows is, when you walk into a room, the energy shifts. You're not trying to be noticed, yet everyone notices. And for him, it's more than attraction, it's fascination. He begins to imagine what life would be like with your steadiness, not just for a weekend, but for years. That mix of warmth and mystery is what keeps him curious, grounded, and emotionally tied. These little things, how you listen, how you speak, what you notice, how you carry yourself, they're not loud, but they last. They reach places in him even he doesn't fully understand. You become the voice he hears in quiet moments, the one he compares others to without even meaning to. And that's unforgettable. It's also in the way you hold back, just enough. Not to play games, but to let silence speak. When you don't rush to fill every pause, when you let space breathe, something powerful happens. He leans in. He starts to wonder what you're thinking. He starts to feel the weight of your presence without you having to explain anything. You're not trying to be mysterious. You just are. Because you're not desperate to prove yourself. That silent confidence makes a man slow down. It makes him want to earn more of your mind, not just your body. You're not throwing your emotions at him, you're inviting him to meet you where you are. That quiet difference, it changes everything. Because in a world where most people shout just to be seen, your calm strength becomes impossible to ignore. And when you can hold his gaze, not just with your eyes, but with your energy, that's when he truly starts to fall. Not just for how you look, but for the space you hold. A space where he feels excited and steady, where he feels like he's walking into something meaningful. This kind of emotional pull doesn't come from trying to be flawless. It comes from being present, being fully in your body, listening not just with your ears, but with your whole attention, responding with kindness, not reaction, laughing only when it's real, letting your touch feel thoughtful, not planned. That's what brings a man closer. That's what makes him feel safe in your fire and seen in your softness. It's in how you challenge him too, with kindness, not to tear him down, but to lift him up. When you believe in his strength, even when he forgets it, when you say, I know you've got this, and you mean it, that kind of belief stays with him. It becomes part of him, a quiet push forward, a whisper that reminds him who he is when the world wears him down. He may seem tough, but deep inside, he wants someone who sees past the act, someone who can reach the parts of him that feel invisible. Someone who doesn't just hear what he says, but senses what's underneath. That emotional insight, that's what makes you unforgettable.